Before the current phase of works began at the stables at Wentworth Woodhouse, our architects, Donald Insel Associates, undertook extensive research to establish how the stables had evolved into the site we know today. It was clear that a huge amount of 20th century redevelopment had taken place when the stables were converted for use by the Lady Mabel College of Physical Education in 1950. Further work was undertaken in the 1970s, before the site became part of Sheffield Polytechnic. But these alterations and additions proved to be just the latest phases of change at the site. New structures, along with interior and exterior alterations, had been happening here regularly, almost since the building work of the original stables was completed. Archive documents from the 19th century reveal how the stables complex developed throughout this period. An 1841 tithe map reveals no visible change to the form of the buildings since the oldest plan that we've seen, which dates from 1778. It shows the stables courtyard, the riding school, the ostler's house, and some ancillary buildings projecting from the western side of the main stables complex. But an Ordnance Survey map from 1849 to 50 shows a number of developments, primarily the construction of Mews Cottage and the gardener's house on the western side of Mews Court. This enclosed the area to create a courtyard, which was then developed with formal paths that aligned with the central section of each range. An extension to the east range of the stables had also been made at this time, creating a projecting element at the southeast corner of the complex, which further enclosed the area around the riding school. In 1867, a payment is recorded for ironwork to convert 12 stalls into 6 loose boxes, as you can see in this image. It's likely that this photo shows the area that will become the new stables cafe, and it's clear that there was only one wall of windows facing into the main stables courtyard. The other long wall contained recesses to hold hay for the horses. And in this image, from the time when the stables was being used for educational purposes, the loose boxes have all been removed and an additional row of windows has been installed where the hay feeders once were. These windows look out into the courtyard in front of the ostler's house and have been made to reflect the style of the original Georgian windows. The 2 courtyards to the west of the main stables complex contain Grade II listed ancillary buildings from the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Although their interiors have been heavily altered, the exterior appearance is relatively unchanged. They're of a simpler architectural style when compared to the stables, and are built of coursed dressed sandstone with roofs of Westmoreland slate. Some of the slate has been replaced by Welsh slate, and all of the structures complement the style and materials used in the main stables buildings. The eastern boundary of Mews Court is formed by the east elevation of the stables. There's a lot of disturbed masonry here, reflecting the changes made in the mid-20th century, when the stables were used as classrooms. The original elevation would have been relatively plain, with a minimal number of windows due to the presence of the stalls and loose boxes for horses on the inside. The building which separates the 2 courtyards is known as the Link Building. It's largely a single-storey building which joined the west range of the stables with the east section of Mews Court. It's pierced by a central passageway which provides access to the ostler's house and courtyard. The original phase of works at the stables to create the new production kitchens has recently been extended to include repairs to Mews Court, which will be on the main visitor route to Wentworth Woodhouse when the new car park opens to the public. The expanded schedule of works will carry out repairs to the historic fabric, such as external wall repairs and repairs to doors and windows. It also includes repairs to the roofs. Essentially, the plan is to stop the rot, in terms of halting the decay of the historic buildings in Mews Court, which are included on the Historic England Heritage at Risk Register. It'll also improve the visual appearance of the courtyard and create an excellent first impression for our visitors. We anticipate that we'll be finished with this first phase of works at the stables by the autumn of 2024. The route from the new car park will take visitors across a landscaped area leading from the car park and into Mews Court. Eventually, the buildings here will include a ticket office and toilets, but this will form part of a future development phase. From Mews Court, visitors will be able to walk into the main stables courtyard, which will provide access routes directly into the gardens and, via the main driveway, to the house. Over the years, the stables complex has undergone more change in terms of form and use than perhaps any other structure on the site at Wentworth Woodhouse. Each time changes occurred, it's helped to secure the future of the buildings and kept them in use. This included adding a garage to the rear of the old carriage houses in the early 1900s and changing stables and sleeping accommodation into estate offices in the 1930s. During the Second World War, the stables were used by the army to train motorcyclists for the Intelligence Corps, and after this they were converted again for educational use. But from the mid-1980s until the current phase of works began, the buildings have been in a state of serious decline, and several areas at the stables are unsafe to enter today. The work that we have underway currently is just the first part of an ambitious plan to secure a viable future for the stables at Wentworth Woodhouse, and we'll bring you regular updates about our progress in videos on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like, and leave a comment about our content and the work we're doing. We love to hear from you.